Hello and welcome to Theatre.Reviews with Paul Severn. I'm here at Dock X to see Macbeth with Ralph Fiennes and Indira Varma. Director Simon Godwin has set this production of Macbeth in a war zone. But does that help or hinder our understanding of the murderous Macbeths? And how do the great Ralph Fiennes and Indira Varma handle Shakespeare's most complex study of guilt? Oh, and was it a good idea to perform it in a big shed? Keep watching and I'll tell you. But first, please like, comment and subscribe. Thank you. Ralph Fiennes wanted to take this production away from the traditional theatrical venues and audiences, so it's popped up in a warehouse-like hall in London's Docklands. Apart from the possibility of attracting a new audience, there are other advantages to such a venue. For a start, Frankie Bradshaw is able to begin her fabulous set design before you even enter the auditorium by making the lobby, or antechamber, an immersive scene conjuring the aftermath of a battle. There's a burning car, rubble and patrolling soldiers, just as you might have seen on news reports from Gaza or Ukraine. And this is important because although this production by Simon Godwin constantly reminds you that you're in a war zone, the set itself, once you're inside the auditorium, is a plain stage, rising via wide stairs to a mezzanine, emphasising the domestic rooms and castles in which the play largely takes place, rather than battlefields. The temporary seating is on three sides, which adds intimacy. But, and I have to say this, I would rather sit in an actual theatre any day than this shed in which well over 1,000 people were crammed with apparently no consideration given to the torture caused by minuscule legroom and cheap plastic seats. Anyway, enough of the venue. What about the show? Well, Macbeth is one of Shakespeare's greatest tragedies, surpassed only, in my opinion, by King Lear. Its supremacy derives from its complexity, the constant psychological battles between good and evil, duty and ambition, fate and free will, truth and lies, and so on. I go to every production hoping it will shed light on the play's depths and guide us through the states of mind of Macbeth and Lady Macbeth as they make their bloody decisions. In this production, we're constantly reminded that we're in a war-torn country, and, as the cast are in modern dress, that it could be one of today's many conflicts. Now, there's been a rebellion and an invasion, and Macbeth has played an important part in the king's victory over the opposition. The sound of artillery is frequent and loud. But does that explain the Macbeth's ambition? I don't think so. If anything, the reminder of today's awful bombing and killing is a distraction because it's unnecessarily upsetting. I saw this show on the day of the second anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and someone who was sitting near me and had experience of that war didn't return for the second half, apparently because they found it too traumatic. The background of war and conflict seems to me irrelevant to a play primarily about the consequences of overthrowing a legitimate government, even if it's one with which you disagree, and such themes as whether the end can justify the means and how one evil act leads to another. The violence mainly involves assassinations rather than fighting. In fact, perhaps this is a good point to run over the plot if you're unfamiliar with Macbeth. So, the Scottish lord and soldier meets three weird sisters, or witches, who predict that he will become king. He's quite excited by this prospect, but seems prepared to let it happen naturally until his wife persuades him to kill the monarch while he's staying with them. The weird women also predict that his friend Banquo's heirs will become kings, so he decides to kill Banquo. Macduff joins the English in opposition to him, so he puts out a contract on the Macduff family. All very Putin. In the end, Macbeth suffers the consequences of his actions. So what do Ralph Fiennes and Indira Varma, as the murderous couple, tell us about the why of all this? But both actors bring out the richness of their roles. We first meet Mr. Fiennes' Macbeth as he lumbers onto the stage. He talks like a blunt soldier. He's slightly stooped. He looks tired, as if he's exhausted rather than exhilarated by his victories. Maybe this explains why he's not in a hurry to embark on another round of killing and thinks he might leave his succession to the throne to chance. His wife, on the other hand, bright-eyed, articulate and sophisticated in dress and manner, can't wait. Ms. Varma is clipped and matter-of-fact as she pushes him toward the deadly deed. It's then we get the first of many speeches in which Shakespeare expresses Macbeth's internal arguments. sometimes to others, sometimes to himself. At first, his objections seem to be to do with etiquette, that he is the king's subject, obliged to be against assassination, and that he is his host, who should be providing protection. Ralph Fiennes is magnificent at these moments. He rightly acknowledges the speeches for the powerful poetry that they are, and he almost steps out of the body of the plain soldier to address the audience and explain his concerns. He speaks the lines beautifully. He sounds as if he's just thought of them, and he conveys their meaning with clarity. It's an absolute pleasure to hear Shakespeare's poetry projected to the back of the auditorium without any apparent strain. And I should know, because I was in the back row. In a moment of black comedy, Indira Varma's Lady Macbeth loudly castigates her horrified husband for bringing the bloody knives out of Duncan's bedchamber. There's a lot in the play about being a man, not a weak woman. So having initially seemed emasculated by his wife, Ralph Fiennes' Macbeth becomes almost giddy following his killing spree, laughing and dancing between appearances of Banquo's ghost in the middle of a dinner party. Indira Varma's eyes show Lady Macbeth's concern that her husband is becoming unhinged and uncoupled from her. Guilt affects them both in different ways. Lady Macbeth cannot escape the thought of the horror of the crime they've committed and is driven to madness and suicide. The scene in which she tries to wash invisible blood from her hands was chilling. In fact, Indira Varma almost stole the show, except Ralph Fiennes as Macbeth, having begun the play hunched and exhausted, becomes more and more frenetically alive and more reckless, even as he perceives the futility of life. The tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow speech, the last great examination of the consequences of his actions, is spoken to perfection, with the final conclusion that life is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing, hanging in the air like a warning to us all. The adaptation by Emily Burns makes the play move along at a pace, as it should. I did like the way the weird sisters permeate the play. I found the supernatural nature of the witches a difficult element of Macbeth, even though they are essential to driving the plot. But here, in everyday clothes and played wonderfully by Lucy Mangan, Danielle Fiamanya and Lola Shalam, they come across as ordinary young women, maybe even displaced citizens, whose looks of mischief suggest they are passing on their predictions to expose and undermine those in charge. I'd also pick out the performances of Steffan Rhodri, who gives the loyal Banquo solidity and a sceptical eye, and Ben Turner as Macduff, whose heartbroken reaction to the murder of his family was palpable. So for me, a slightly disappointing production and a terrible venue, but a glimpse of greatness in the performances of Ralph Fiennes and Indira Varma. I give this Macbeth 4 stars. I hope you enjoyed this review, or at least found it useful, and if you did, please like, comment and subscribe to this channel so you'll be the first to know about my future reviews. You can also read my reviews at Theatre.Reviews, where I also offer roundups of the other critics' reviews. And you can follow me on the usual social media. Thank you for watching.